Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co., and today I'm reviewing Agent Avenue from NerdLab. Agent Avenue is a two-player game of bluffery and manipulation, and basically a game that plays in 15 minutes where you're trying to catch the other player. Mostly. The basic idea of the game is you have the two players over here. You have blue and green, or otherwise the dog and the cat, and you have their home bases, which doesn't matter that much right now, matters for where they start. In the game, you're basically trying to catch each other, so eventually, if the blue player manages to go ahead and catch up to the green player and actually land or pass them, then they'll win the game. The reverse is true as well. If the green player manages to catch up to the blue player, then they'll win the game. That is one of the ways you can win the game. The other way you can win the game is there's a set of cards over here, which we'll show you soon, that if you get them, you can win the game. And then lastly, you can lose the game because there's a set of cards that if you get them, you'll lose the game. So now that we've established that there's basically three ways to win and or lose in this game, let's go ahead and walk you through some of this a little bit more specifically. Let's pretend it's my turn over here, and I'm looking at my hand of cards, and we have these cards. Ooh, look at that. That was, by the way, this was not planned. This is just good over here. The general idea of the game is you're going to be creating an I cut, you choose kind of, well, not really an I cut, you choose, but in the game, a player is going to look at their hand of 4 cards, and they're going to pick one card and put it face up, and one card and put it face down. So for example, maybe they go ahead and they put this card face up over here, and then they put that face down. Maybe they'll go ahead and put this card face down. So they go ahead and start with that, and these are the options. And now the other player, let's pretend that the dog player now has to choose one of these two cards. They see the Saboteur, they don't know what this card is, but they know that if they collect the Saboteur, they're going to go back one space because they don't have any of the Saboteur cards. This will be their first Saboteur. If this were their second Saboteur, they'd go back one space again. If this were their third Saboteur, they'd go back 2 spaces, and 4th, 5th, and 6th would always go back 2 spaces. Basically, 4, 5, and 6 is always going to do the 3rd level. So they know this is on the table. What they don't know is what's behind door number 2. So they can take the card they know is bad, or they can take the card that probably is bad, unless it's a bluff. They're not entirely sure, because obviously they're not going to take the Saboteur, which means maybe they should take the Saboteur. They're not going to take the Saboteur. Instead, they're going to go ahead and take the face down card. They're going to add it to their cards over here. This is now in their set of cards, and they've taken a Daredevil, which on its first space will go 2 forward. On its second space, a second Daredevil will go 3 forward, and the third Daredevil will cause you to lose the game. So on the one hand, he got a good card for now. On the other hand, he's 1/3 of the way towards losing. He'll go ahead and move forward 2, 1, 2. The other player gets the card that was not chosen. He moves back forward 1. And sure, the dog might lose in 3 turns, but the cat has to make it past the next 3 turns instead. Players are going to go ahead and draw up their hands, and now it's time for the dog to make a choice. The dog's going to look at their hands, and they see over here they got the following. They have the Saboteur, and they have the Mole. Which one is going to be worse? Which one's going to be better? They're not entirely sure how this is going to play out. So maybe what they'll do, maybe they'll go ahead. Okay, fine. So they're going to go ahead and do the following. See, watch what they're going to do. They're going to go ahead and place the Saboteur face down and the Codebreakers face up. Okay, so they're placing the Codebreaker face up over here, and that's the option of the table being presented to the cat player. Now again, this is where the mind thing constantly comes into play, because right now the Codebreaker, if it wasn't clear, moves 0, then wins the game. The Codebreaker will win the game if they're not careful. On the third card, you win the game with the Codebreaker, which again, you can lose the Daredevils, you can win with Codebreakers, or you can win by catching your opponent. The problem is, this player over here doesn't know. Should they take the Codebreaker, a possible instant win condition, or is this card something that's going to move them forward, giving them a little bit more opportunity to go ahead and progress? On the flip side is, maybe this is another Daredevil. And if this is another Daredevil over here, then right now, they might take the Codebreaker and win. Sure, that can happen. But if this is a Daredevil, then they're going to win right now with 1, 2, 3 and immediately win. So that's a little bit scary over there. How are we going to handle that? Let's take this card over here and let them have the Codebreaker just in case, because we can't afford a Daredevil right now. We'll take this card, and it's a Saboteur. It's the second Saboteur, so they're going to go ahead and go backwards 1 space over here. They kind of tricked them into stepping a little bit closer to the dog. So again, the dog has 1 potential lose condition, 1 potential win condition, but right now the cat's got their Saboteur. Now keep in mind, obviously I'm playing both sides here, so the mind game is basically me just talking through how I would think through things, but obviously I know everything that's going on over here. Back to the cat player over here. Cat player has another choice on the table. Ooh, they got a Codebreaker. That could be tempting. The problem is we have a Daredevil, which would cause the cat to instantly lose. So here's the deal. Here's what we'll do over here. We'll place the Codebreaker right now, and we'll place their Daredevil. Okay, now we're hoping that they take the Codebreaker, because the Codebreaker would put them 1 step closer to winning, but right now we can't afford taking this away. We need to jump forward, we need to get ahead, and sure enough, the dog will go for it. They'll say, you know what, I don't know how this is going to play out, let's just take the thing that we know is good, let's set ourselves up for 2 win conditions, and sure enough, the cat gets the Daredevil, charging forward 2, giving itself a little bit of breathing space once again. The cat will go ahead and take 2 more cards, and back to the dog player to go ahead and go with its dastardly devices over here. So, Now we have these cards over here. We have the Double Agent, which moves forward -1, then 6, then -1 forever. We have the Sentinel, which is 0, then 2, then 6. So you build up the Sentinels, you can get a lot of movement forward. And the tricky part is we have the Mole back here. We really want them to take the Mole. How do we convince them to take the Mole? And again, this is where the mind games come in play. Because here's the problem. Ooh, how to play this over here. Because if I was this player right now, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to think, if I place the Mole face up, then they would not want to take the Mole, which means they'd leave me the face-up card, but the face-down card. The problem is the face-down card could be a Codebreaker. The problem is I'm putting them into a no-win situation, so the Mole's a bit too strong. It's a bit too strong now because it might force them to actually take the Mole. Instead, what I think I'll do is I'll go ahead and play a Double Agent. I'll play the Double Agent face down, and the Enforcer face down over here. So Double Agent face up, Enforcer face down. They don't know what's behind door number 2, but it might be a Codebreaker. That's the problem here. So they'll go ahead and take the reliable. They'll take this one over here. They'll take this one. They move forward 1. I think I messed up the way I was planning that, but they move forward 1 over here, and I'll go ahead and move forward and move backwards -1. But my next Double Agent is going to be another way, yet another way that I can win. We'll draw up to my hand over here. Back to the cat player's turn. Let's continue this little charade, and then we'll talk about some more stuff over here. We got this card player. We got the Sidekick, and an instant movement forward 4. That's a good one, but we offer them the Double Agent. We can't afford to have them take Double Agent. So what we're going to do, the Double Agent would be scary. Let's just play it a little safe. Let's put... Oh, this is tricky. How do we want to handle this over here? We don't want any of these. We want the Sentinel. We'll offer them the Sentinel, and we'll put the Sidekick. We'll offer them the Sentinel, and we'll put the Sidekick face down over here. So this is a tempting choice over here. Gives a few options on the table. The tricky part is this is almost certainly not a Codebreaker, because they're not going to risk that over here. It's likely, I don't know... Let's go with Sentinel. Let's play it safe. We'll take the Sentinel. We'll move forward 0 for right now. But we have yet another tool at disposal over here. Let's try to put these back on camera so you can see them a little better. And then they're going to take this one over here, and they'll move forward 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I can keep going, but I think for right now you get a good sense of how this plays out over here. You're trying to create choices that get into the mind of the player, trying to get them to basically choose poorly based on the knowledge you have and the knowledge they don't. Now, once you get bored of that, or once you just want to up it to the next level, you're going to go ahead and flip this board, and now you have the black market in play. The black market is going to occur on these spots, and you're going to have a separate market of cards that's in play, giving you different black market cards that players can choose over here. These black market cards, basically, let's just move these out of the way over here, they're going to be cards that players can choose when they land on a black market space. Whether they're moving forward or backwards, there's cards that will give you either one-time abilities, or alternatively, there's ongoing abilities as well that can be in play. The Watchtower, when you recruit an Enforcer, you move 2 additional spaces forward. So it gives you another reason to get the Enforcer. Or you have the Secret Recruit. Recruit an agent from your hand that is different from the ones you have in play. Now the same basic premise of the game is at play. The only difference is now you have even more reasons to consider different things. When I'm saying that placing a Daredevil on the table, I know that one of us right now, based on the board situation, one of us is going to move forward 2 and get one of these cards, which introduces a new incentive to both the cards that are face down as well as the cards that are face up. But you have these, I believe, 15 or so black market cards. They'll just give you something else to think about as you're trying to make those choices. That's going to be the next level of the gameplay. And that is basically how you play Agent Avenue, which means it's time for my review with what I like, don't like, and can see others not liking, starting off with what I like. The game is incredibly quick to learn, incredibly quick to teach, incredibly quick to play, and gives you an excellent I cut you choose. Or not, again, it's not really I cut you choose, because normally in I cut you choose, you're choosing different piles. In this one, there's always going to be one card face up and one face down. But the choice of what you're going to obfuscate and what's going to be obfuscated face down and what's going to come from your hand face up, there's still an element of putting choices in front of your opponent that is going to force them to consider what's good for them, and you have the hidden knowledge. There's a lot to consider, both in the now and in the later. One of the things that Agent Avenue does that other games don't is the fact that there's a now choice, which is, for example, when you're playing the Double Agent over here, that's -1. But the later choices, it might be a 6 later. And you are balancing both of those as you play. You're balancing what's going to happen now and how are you setting up yourself and your opponent for future turns and future choices. There's 3 different ways to manage winning or losing in the game that's going to further give you things to consider or things to think about as you try to tempt them into no-win situations or the thought of no-win situations. If I know that the face-down card might give you the victory, can I afford to take that chance? But if I also let you do that every single turn, you'll always get the good card, so I have to gamble. There's a lot going on as for both players as they think through the ramifications of their actions, the ramifications of the choices they put in front of their opponent, and the choices that they choose to make with the cards that are placed in front of them. There's also the ability to make choices that aren't equal for everyone. There's times you can place down 2 cards and both are great for you and not great for your opponent. And that's because of the staggered nature of where people are on cards. And that that created that developed asymmetry, that developed inequality, that will happen throughout the game, that forces different kinds of decisions and choices that again make this game stand out from other I Cut You Choose games. And then the black market is just a nice add-on. It's not necessary to enjoy the game, but it's a nice little extra thing that just gives you something else to consider and more thoughts, more choices as you think through this fairly basic, fairly straightforward, but very thinky mind games of, can you read me well enough or can I read you better? As far as what I don't like in the game, it's a one-trick pony. That's going to be the biggest thing over here. Ultimately, the game is a little bit of a mind game as far as what do I think you're going to do, what do you think I'm going to do, and how can we beat each other's. There's not a lot going on past the core idea of what this game does, which does limit how much it can grow because ultimately it's a bluffing game with a lot of fluff around it to try to develop, to try to obscure what it is or try to make it more varied, which does work. But at the end of the day, it's very limited in what it's doing. It is a mind game, and that's it. Everything else is just the fluff around it. I'll say that I wish the black market cards were a bit more interesting. Some of them were interesting. I would say most of them felt not as interesting as I would like. They definitely add to the choice in the game because every little edge helps, but I wish there are more interesting cards going on in the black market. As far as I can see others not liking, I mentioned that I like this over here. I mentioned that the idea of creating a lose-lose choice for your opponent, I like that the game allows you to do that through the developed inequality of the game, but you might not like the fact that, congratulations, you have two cards in front of you, both of them are bad. That moment is less fun, the trying to, or can be less fun depending on who you are. But to me, I don't mind it because of the fact that it's built up that way, and it doesn't start that way. As far as final thoughts on Agent Avenue, this is a small box game that really gave me a lot of gameplay and a lot of mind think as far as how it operates and how it stands out from other games doing similar things because of that developed inequality, because of those 3 stages of the cards. It's fast, it's easy to play, it's quick, it's one of those great small box games that gives you a lot to do, a good amount of choices. Overall, this is a 4 out of 5 for me. As far as other game recommendations, first of all, if you like I Cut You Choose, check out Hanamakoji, my favorite I Cut You Choose game. And if you like the little mind games going on over here, check out It's a Wonderful Kingdom for a bigger box experience that will have you layering in those little mind games of, did I give you the good pile or the bad pile, through these face down cards. And It's a Wonderful Kingdom, which is a different version of It's a Wonderful World, a 2-player version of It's a Wonderful World. In any case, until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I hope you have a good one.